Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're maybe still trying to work out if having World Superbikes and MotoGP in the same weekend is a good or a bad thing. But fear not, because anything you missed will be covered on here, as long as it's not World Supersport or World Supersport 300, because we just don't have the time. This is the Big Bad Bike Show. I'm the Big Bad Biker, Sam Macaulay, and joining me tonight as always is my two co-hosts, the Up North Biker Ash Hall.
Hello there.
And Chippy, Chippy Ballard.
Hello.
If you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, that way you won't miss a podcast or a video if we ever make one. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, you can send us an email to podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. Let us know where you're listening from, and what you think of the show.
Was that a dig at me there, Sam, for not putting up my video yet?
No, that was just generally a dig at all of us, because we just don't really have anything to do other than make shit podcasts.
I haven't got around to doing my video yet. I do need to do that.
That's fine. Do you want to tell us what's coming up on the show?
Yeah, as usual, the all new Who Am I, and this week it's Chippy, isn't it? Is it Chippy this week?
It is.
It is. We'll be giving our reactions to this week's MotoGP at San Marino and World Superbikes at Magna-Cours. Have I said that right this time?
We don't pronounce the S. Oh. French don't pronounce their S.
Oh, okay. And we'll be making our predictions for Alton Park BSB, which I'm very looking forward to.
I almost forgot the predictions for Alton Park until the last minute. Yeah. And also,
we are going to be asking, does anyone actually understand who gets penalties, and when is a penalty not a penalty? Because there was a very big penalty that should have happened this weekend, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah, and apparently it did happen, which was fucking pointless. Right, so I've swore already, and I keep telling myself I'm going to try and not be a sweary podcast.
Sweary podcast.
Right. But before we go into all that, let's have a little catch up with ourselves.
Okay.
What have you been up to, guys? Share the goss. What have you been up to? The people really want to know.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, but if anybody's got anything
I'll go
worthwhile.
first then, because obviously Chippy's just putting that I'm fat on the dock. I can see it happening as we speak. I went and paid my respects to a fellow biker. He was a local lad that unfortunately passed away. His family put up a thing out on social media asking if anybody with a spare bike would be kind enough to go and follow the hearse, basically. And I thought, you know what, I'll go down there. I went with the bike club that I usually ride with, and there must have been about 500 to 600 bikes turned up, and most of the people didn't even know the lad, so it was a really nice turnout for him. It's a class day, and his family were really appreciative of that. So yeah, I've done that this weekend. Also, I had a class day out with Fran, which is Mrs. Chippy's man friend. And we went
my
on
mum, not my wife.
yeah, so he's Chippy's mum. And we went on a distillery tour, which was really, really good. Had a bit of dabble of whiskey, but what we didn't know was that his mum actually booked us extra shots of whiskey, so we ended up having like 6 shots of whiskey, and I don't drink very often.
You were hammered when you came to mine.
I was not hammered.
You were.
No, I wasn't.
You were.
All right then. Anyway,
he was.
I was not hammered. And I also started playing Starfield this weekend as it came out, so I got to do what I wanted to do, which was sit in my pants and play Starfield. And I must say I've done like 24 hours so far, which is very nerdy, but I've enjoyed myself nevertheless. And according to Chippy, I'm still fat. So,
yep.
It's amazing how most weekends he keeps saying how busy he is, but this weekend all of a sudden he can put 24 hours into Starfield.
I have been busy. Oh, I went to the tip. Do you want to hear about me going to the tip? Went to the tip. Cleaned the house.
Yeah.
Come on, Chippy, what you been up to?
I think I did a collective cringe with everybody else that's listening to the podcast when you referred to Chippy's mum's boyfriend or whatever as a man friend.
Well, I don't know what he always says my mum's bloke.
Well, yeah, my mum's bloke.
Well, that sounds a little better than my man friend. This is my man friend.
Mrs. Chippy's man friend. Yes. Come on, Chippy, what have you been up to?
Well, as you've alluded to, my mum and her bloke visited this weekend. They came, I think, doing like a tour of Scotland, so they came in for the weekend. But I was on night, so I didn't really get to spend too much time with them. In fact, you spent more time with them than I did.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, I think you did. And we took the dog out on that, and we went to some garden centres, which was nice. And I've been buying loads of flowers and stuff for autumn.
Did you go to Threaplands?
No, I can't remember the name of the one we went to.
Oh, is that where you had your breakfast? Where you told us that massive breakfast you had?
No, Nicola made that
Oh,
in the
right,
end.
because I thought you were off for breakfast.
Yeah, we were, but we didn't want to leave poor little Arthur on his own.
Oh, God, he's a dog, for Christ's sakes.
So we thought we'll go and buy a load of stuff. Thought go and buy a load of stuff and we'll make it ourselves. And we had everything. We had bacon, sausage, egg, square sausage,
you told me you had 4
black pudding,
sausages.
haggis, tatty scone.
It's one of them
beans.
It's one of them do we don't we sort of scenarios when it comes to a big fry up, because yes, it is nice to cook it yourself, but it's so much hassle. You hate to go and buy it all, then you hate to clean up after yourself, and by the time you add it all up, it's not like hugely inexpensive. So sometimes it's better just to go.
You say that it's Chippy cooked it. He didn't cook it. Nicola did.
I was going to say I've got a Nicola here that buys it, cooks it, and cleans up afterwards. So I didn't have to do anything. I just got a free breakfast.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So yeah,
I also had a very nice breakfast.
Sam, what have you been up to then?
I didn't do very much. I bought a new coffee machine at the weekend, and I'm at the minute reading a Jack Reacher novel, and Jack Reacher drinks loads of coffee and eats loads of pancakes, and I don't know, that's probably where subconsciously it came into my head, and I ended up making this, which Chippy describes as an American style breakfast with pancakes with whipped cream and fruit and chocolate sauce. I've tweeted my breakfast on our on our Twitter
on
page.
That hideous plate.
No, I did one on a nice white plate. So if you want to go on and have a look at my breakfast and see what you think of it, you can let us know if you like it or don't like it. Go to our Twitter page, The Big Bad Bike Show, and let us know what you think of my breakfast. Apart from that, the most exciting thing that happened to me was probably tonight, when this is true, I dropped my car keys in the toilet. And the toilet was, let's just say, a little sudden.
Oh no! And you just had a poo-poo.
Yeah, but I'm wearing these running shorts, and running shorts have got like little pockets in the back where you can put your keys when you're running. But the zip's broken. I usually just put my dog poo bags in there whenever I'm walking, but I had my car keys in there, and it was my bike keys actually. And as I was pulling my shorts up, I heard this plop, and I was like, oh no! I couldn't flush the toilet, so I had to go fishing, but luckily I had a dog poo bag in my pocket as well, so I used the dog poo bag like a glove, but that didn't work anyway because it was too deep and all the water went into the glove anyway. So, but
like a
I've got soap in my house, so all's well it ends well. I also got Starfield this weekend. Well, I say I got it. It's on Game Pass, so I didn't really go out and buy it. It's just had it.
Yeah, I did.
Unlike Ash, though, I've only managed to put 6 hours into it, but.
So a mate of mine that I was speaking to today at work, he has got to a point where he has actually glitched out of the main storyline, so he's going to have to start all over again.
Yeah, it's got some problems.
Got a lot of
but we're not here to talk about computer games because we're not a computer game podcast.
We should be.
Not yet. Yeah, well, we could maybe we could do one. Let us know, folks. If you want a computer game podcast, we'll do one. That'll be crap as well. But
I can only talk about Red Dead.
That's all you ever play.
That's all you ever play.
It's all been playing this week as well.
It is terrible. Well, okay,
brilliant.
It's not terrible, but it's very overrated.
No.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
We're not a computer
very
game
good.
podcast. Let's move on. Feedback from last week. Did we have any? The answer is no. Let's move on. Nobody's getting in contact. Send us emails. podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. It's not hard. It's not very hard to do. You just click a few times. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to count the syllables, but send us an email. And we will crack on with the Who Am I. Last week it was Ash that did the Who Am I.
It was.
Do you want to give us the clues again?
Yeah, I was born on the 12th of August 1979 in Bingley. I have had 27 TT podiums, 16 of which are wins, and I've written an autobiography called Miracle Man. Now, Sam, you got this straight away. Chippy, you had to Google it, which I'm surprised that you had to Google it, to be fair.
Yeah, I should have known that.
Yeah, I thought we would have got that, but the answer was Ian Hutchinson, of course.
It was the 16 TT wins that gave it away, because once you get into the higher numbers of the TT wins, once you get like Mike Heelwood 14, once you get past that, the numbers become very, very sparse.
Yeah,
there's
few
only
and
so
far
many people it
between,
can be.
Oh well, nobody emailed in and guessed then.
No.
Where's Big Dazza at?
But, I don't know, but I don't think last week, I don't think as many people listened to it because we missed a week, so they all probably just think we realised that we're crap and gave up. But we haven't given up. We are going to soldier on. Right, Chippy, it's your turn. Who am I?
Clues. It is. So the first clue is I was born in Stockport in 1985. The second clue, I currently race in British Superbikes. And the third clue, my father raced in MotoGP and World Superbikes in the 1980s.
I think I know this is already.
Go on then, send it me.
Oh, you say I'm stupid. I'm going to come round your house. You're not far from me. I'm going to beat you.
Well, don't put Valentino Rossi then.
Shut up.
When did you say he was born?
Stockport in 1985. Go straight on WhatsApp,
let me
Ash.
just
Don't,
think. No,
don't be Googling.
No, I'm not. I'm going to message you now.
What? Stockport, 1985. He's still in British Superbikes.
No, not him.
It's not.
It's not him.
Oh shit! I thought that would have been him. Because of his dad.
And he's the same age as me.
How is it not him? Who the hell could it be?
I think I know who you're thinking of, Ash, and he's 2 years older than me, so it's not him.
Who are you thinking of? Message me. Message me who you're thinking Ash is thinking of. Yes, he was thinking of him.
Yes, but he's too old, because he's 2 years older than me.
Oh, right. I thought he was a bit younger than that.
No, he recently celebrated a milestone birthday. Anyway, we're telling the listeners who it's not.
I'll have another think.
I will have to think about that one.
I will as well. And he currently races in BSB.
Yes.
Right.
Right, let me get the dot up so I can... Right, if you would like to get in contact with the Who Am I and you know who that is, you now know who it isn't if you've listened to what we've been talking about. You can get in contact with us by sending us an email to podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. And if you want us to read it out in the show, we'll read it out in the show anyway, but if you want to read it out, if you want us to read your name out in the show, just leave your name, or you can leave a fake name or something so that you know that we've read your answer out in the show. Right, that brings us on to the meat and the bones of the show, I guess. So we're going to be moving on to the news.
The news.
Mike Trimby, the esteemed founder and CEO of the IRTA, has passed away on Friday evening. His significant contributions have left an indelible mark on the evolution of motorcycle Grand Prix racing, instrumental in shaping the MotoGP we know today. Yeah, he was a massive figure in MotoGP.
Yeah, did they give him a minute's silence?
Yeah, I think they did a minute's silence for him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I don't know much about him, but from what I've heard, he's...
Yeah, me myself, I'm kind of shallow when it comes to the MotoGP and most of the races. I don't see much past the actual riders. So, but judging by what the commentators and what other teams and stuff were saying, he seems to be heavily focused, or he seems to be like a big part of the MotoGP paddock. So, sad loss.
Yeah.
Yes. Rumours are there are discussions in MotoGP to change a rule in qualifying. Now, please excuse the length of this article, but I had help from ChatGPT, and I couldn't be bothered to shorten it. Traditionally, in MotoGP, if a rider crashes during a qualifying session, they can quickly remount their bike, rush back to the pits, and attempt to rejoin the action. This practice, while exciting, can sometimes lead to frantic moments on the track as riders scramble to make the most of their qualifying window. The British Superbike Championship, on the other hand, takes a different approach. Once a rider crashes during a qualifying session in BSB, their chances for that session are over. They must leave their bike where it is and cannot re-enter the track until the session concludes. Now, MotoGP is seriously considering adopting a similar rule. Advocates for this change argue that it would bring more consistency and fairness to qualifying sessions. Riders who crash and cause yellow flag interruptions can disrupt the flow of sessions for all of the competitors. By leaving their bikes after a fall, this potential hazard could be mitigated. However, not everyone in MotoGP communities are in favour of it. Critics argue that it can rob fans of a thrilling comeback story, and riders attempt to recover from a crash and post-competitive lap times. Additionally, it could reduce the strategic aspects of qualifying, as riders might choose to stay out longer, increasing the risk of crashes as they push their limits. That's basically it. So it's a crash and out rule, basically, that they're considering.
So once you crash,
you can't rejoin.
Once you crash, you can't rejoin.
So it's like
the
BSB
whole
then.
session.
Yeah.
You can't rejoin the whole session.
No. So you can't remount, go back to the pits, and then go out for another session for another time. Once you've crashed, you're out. Which apparently is what they're seriously considering. Which I think
like that.
I don't see.
I
don't think there's anything wrong with it. It causes a lot more problems when they get back on the bike, especially if they're dropping oil or some shit and they don't know about it.
I would say it's because riders are arguing that in the qualifying lap they are pushing it to the limit, and sometimes pushing it to the limit just takes you beyond the limit, and it's whenever they crash, that's when they know that's where it's at, and they go out in the next lap, and I don't know.
No, I don't either.
Or maybe it's something simple like they're pushing it hard and they might end up having to pull out of a corner and go straight on and go into a gravel, and then they might fall off. It's a simple little crash, but then that's the whole qualifying.
I think when they do crash, it keeps the yellow flag out for ages while they get on, rejoin, and get it. If they just crash and they get the rider and the bike out the way, that's it. They can get the yellow flag away.
Plus, I think it adds a little bit more jeopardy to their qualifying session, so I like it.
Yes, if you crash, you're out.
Do you think they should do that in the racing as well, though?
No.
Because they do in the BSB, don't they? If you crash, you can't rejoin.
I don't know if they're doing BSB. I can't remember.
I don't think they do. I think once you've crashed, you're out.
I think you might be right, actually.
It's definitely, there is one of the super bikes where that is. But
it's just, I think, I mean, yeah, all right, they can rejoin, but like I say, they don't have enough time to inspect that bike. That could be chucking oil everywhere. You just don't know, and then that's other bikers coming off and hitting the oil.
Yeah,
I think if they've had if they've flipped
that's
the
kind
bike,
of up to the marshals to.
It is, I suppose.
Yeah,
it is up to the marshals, but they're not freaking experts on mechanics, are they?
No, so until they get back to the pits and they've had it properly checked over, they don't know for sure, do they?
No. I think if they're going to do it for qualifying, it should be like BSB and they're doing the race as well.
Yeah. Be interesting. Keep an eye on that over the next few weeks.
I like that one. That was a good find, that Chippy.
Thank you.
Yeah, but God, it went on a bit. Could you not have just said, if
I could have shortened it,
out?
but yeah, but
you could have
I couldn't be bothered.
You could have said the news is, in the qualifying, if you crash, that's it, shit bust, you're out.
But Sam, have you
it.
noticed there's no other news pretty much after that?
There's one other bit where it's just a few confirmed rides, so I'll let you put a bong in here. Few confirmed rides for this week. Luca Marini has been confirmed at VR46 for next season, which I think was pretty obvious. I've forgotten his first name. Balega. Is it Nicolo Balega?
Nicolo Balega.
He's confirmed to the factory Ducati in World Superbikes.
And is that replacing Rinaldi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we mentioned before is a very good thing because Bautista's winning at the minute. He's the next. You're basically going to replace Bautista when he retires.
I know you're not happy with it because you think the only reason he won World Supersport is because he's on a Ducati. You don't think he deserves.
No, I don't.
You'd rather have Bassani go on it.
Yeah, I think Bassani's.
I like Bassani.
But we did agree that from a team point of view, it would be better to have a nice young rider who can basically ride in the shadow of Bautista for a couple of years until he retires, and then step into his shoes and take over.
Yes. Yes, we agreed with that. And the only other one, I say the only other one, there may be more, but the only other one that I wrote down, Diogo Moreira is moving up to Moto2. I think he's going to be Dennis Fodge's teammate next year. Possibly, I think.
Is it worth mentioning today's test on the news? Or are we keeping that for silly season?
Should we keep that for silly season?
Okay, let's hold on to that for the season of the silliness. Well, we are flying through this show today. That's the news done. Yeah, there's not a lot of...
Quick, say something appropriate.
There's not a lot happening, so I guess we will go on to the racing that happened this weekend. Now, as mentioned in the intro, there was a lot of racing on this weekend.
There was a lot.
It's not often it happened. It used to happen more a few years ago, but recently it's not happened as much, where World Superbikes and MotoGP happened in the same weekend. In fact, this is the only weekend it's happened, I believe.
Coming up, I think the end of this month, we've got MotoGP World Superbikes and British Superbikes on the same weekend. And I'm pretty sure that's happening like 3 or 4 times towards the end of the season, because I've booked it off work.
That?
It's the weekend that I move house. So I'm not even going to be able to watch it.
Do you need help moving house?
I do. But to be fair, actually, I won't be moving that weekend because the carpet won't be in at that point. So I should actually be able to watch it that weekend.
I could come to your house and help you move house, and then we could all watch motorbikes together. Look at Chippy, he really doesn't want that.
He really doesn't want to be in his house.
I could sleep at your house and I could stay there all weekend. And
you'll be there getting drunk, farting, touching his dog.
My pubes would be in your bathtub.
Yeah. Just like they are in that Airbnb.
So yes, the end of... the 30th of September and 1st of October is all 3. The 14th and 15th of October is all 3.
Jesus, 2 weeks in a row. Well, 2 weekends in a row.
Pretty much.
Well, they're not 2 weekends back to back, but you know what I mean, listeners.
Yes.
2 weekends in a row. Right, so, well, we'll just deal with what we've got this week, all right? We've got World Superbikes and MotoGP. I think we start with the MotoGP and then we build up, because I believe this was one of the weekends where, as a whole, the World Superbikes was a little bit more exciting than what the MotoGP was.
I will agree with that, yes.
I will agree, yes.
To be honest,
maybe
I
the
would say,
with
the exception of Moto3.
Right, so we'll start with MotoGP, we'll go Moto2, we'll keep Moto3, because that's a bit more exciting, and then we'll go on to World Superbikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've wrote some notes for all the races. As if you're looking at the doc, you'll see that the notes are fairly sparse for the first couple of races, but there's a reason for that. Right, so MotoGP Sprint, they all took off. Jorge Martin got in front, Bezzecchi was in second, Bagnaia was in third, and that was pretty much all she wrote. There was a little bit of excitement because Pedrosa was there. It was a wee bit, it was a novelty to have him there as a test rider. He was doing quite well, and at one stage I thought he could maybe overtake Bagnaia. In fact, in the sprint race, I honestly think Pedrosa could have overtaken him if they had been... if he had been, like, let's say they were championship rivals, I think he could have maybe thrown up the inside of him, but I don't think he wanted to do that just in case he maybe lost the front and took him out, because obviously as a test rider you don't want to be doing that. That, however, caused a little bit of problem for Binder, because not getting off to a great start, he did eventually catch Pedrosa, but then he didn't just have Pedrosa or Bagnaia, he had Pedrosa and Bagnaia in front of him. So I think that might have hindered Binder. My prediction for that race was Vinales, because I thought the year previous the Aprilias did alright, but obviously this year they didn't, so didn't do very well with my predictions. And like I said, that's all she wrote. That's how the race ended. And to be honest, the actual MotoGP race was pretty much part and parcel. Part and parcel? Is that how you say it?
Part and parcel, yeah.
Part and parcel.
So.
The MotoGP race was pretty much part and parcel the same, except for the fact that all I can remember is the 2 KTM riders fell off. Now, Brad Binder did remount, and I think he got 14th.
He did.
Yeah, so the MotoGP was
and Jack
Jorge
Miller,
Martin in the front.
Jack Miller was really far back, though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he came last, if he even finished at all. I think he crashed.
When he crashed out, I think he was only like 18th or something.
So he didn't get into Q1, into Q2, did he? I think
he had a bit of a mare of a weekend, really.
Yeah.
He's been having a few mares.
He has, yeah. Meh.
Last few weekends. Yeah, but basically, the top four were the same for the sprint and for the MotoGP. Jorge Martin, Bezzecchi, Bagnaia, Pedrosa. I know we're not really talking over the MotoGP races very much, but they really weren't that exciting.
No, they weren't a major. The best thing about them was the fact that Pedrosa got 2 fourth places. I thought that was the best part of it, really.
But I think if Pedrosa hadn't have been, let's say everything would have happened the same, but without Pedrosa, if Pedrosa hadn't have been there, they would have been exceptionally boring races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it helped that Bagnaia was holding on to an injury because he couldn't race for the win.
That's true. He did very well considering he just had his legs run over.
Very, very well. Maybe he could have raced for the win, but...
Did you see Jorge Martin in qualifying?
No.
He was like 0.6 of a second ahead of everybody else. It was ridiculous, the time that he got in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'd making notes of the qualifying, but I didn't put them in here in the end.
Yeah,
I thought he had a very good weekend.
Bezzecchi was nursing an injury as well. He had problems with his hand from that little scuffle that they had in the previous race. But
I was thinking before the weekend started, because I knew that the Ducati riders were coming out in the yellow livery.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, how injured is Bagnaia? Is he just a little bit? Obviously, he came third in both races, so he wasn't really injured. But at one stage, I was thinking, is he more injured than they're letting on? But they just need him out there because it would look a bit silly having the yellow livery coming out and none of the two riders are actually on the bike. It was like, I'm really sorry, Pecco, but you've got to ride the bike. But my legs, they are broken. It's like, well, we don't care. But obviously not, because he did really well. He came third in both races.
To say he's had that awfully incident and he's come out third, I think that's class for him. So always like to see Bezzecchi do well as well, so that's good.
Yeah, you like Bezzecchi.
I do like Bezzecchi.
And that has left it with... it's like a 36-point gap now at the top.
Yes, it is. It's only 36, isn't it?
Which is almost... Sorry, excuse me. That's almost a weekend's points.
Yeah.
So, if Bagnaia did miss a weekend, for example, and Jorge Martin did go out and win both races, that's even Stevens. So he's not running away with it the way we thought he might earlier on in the season. Right.
Bezzecchi's not much further behind, though, is he?
Bezzecchi is in 218 points, so yeah, he's a good bit back. He's another 29 points back behind Jorge Martin. So he's nearly 70 points behind Bagnaia. I know you can do the math, but it's there or thereabouts.
Yes.
So obviously, still mathematically, he can win the championship. But yeah, like I said, there wasn't a huge amount of excitement to go on MotoGP.
No, I was a bit disappointed with it this weekend.
And then if MotoGP wasn't very exciting, Moto2 was. Yay!
Before we go on to Moto2, though, I just want to say, Marc Marquez did quite well in the feature race to come 6th.
He did. That was his best result of the year, I think. Yeah.
Because of how terrible it is, I think he did really well.
Yeah, he did. Well done, Ash. That must have been hard for you.
No, it wasn't.
He did do really well. He was 13 seconds behind Jorge Martin in the actual feature race at the end of the race, 13 seconds back, which there's about 24 laps, so not exactly, but you're talking half a second a lap, which I don't think, I know half a second's a lot, but I don't think it's huge.
No.
That's maybe a couple of decent apexes here or there. Maybe it's a bit faster on the straight. I don't think it's huge. Obviously, it's a gulf in the fact that Marquez is nowhere near Martin this year or any Ducatis, but it's not huge. It's not insurmountable. It's not like something that can't be fixed over a winter's testing. So, obviously, we'll talk about that at silly season because you know what I'm alluding to. As well as Marquez did, Danny Pedrosa is still a point ahead of him in the championship.
Yes.
So,
Bring
And
back.
Nakagami is still ahead of him. And Alex Rins is still ahead of him. So he's not even top Honda. So don't go blowing too much smoke up his backside.
I'm not. I'm
even
just saying backside. Well,
definitely not. I know, but I don't want Chippy to. I don't want Chippy to be too happy. Right, moving on to Moto 2. What happened in Moto 2? Well, they all took off. They let off the clutch and they wranged the neck out of the throttle, and I'm trying to make it as exciting as possible. And they all took off and they were heading towards the first corner, and then Acosta led, Vietti was second, Lopez was third, Arbolino was third. There was a bit of chopping and changing here and there, but nothing of it was tremendously exciting, was it? Did anything happen in Moto 2 that you thought that's worth talking about?
Sam Lowe's didn't finish.
Shock. That's my shock. That's my shocked face.
Jake Dixon came 12th.
Jake Dixon didn't have a good weekend.
He didn't.
I know I just said that about Sam Lowe's, and I feel really bad saying that because I've said it before. I really like Sam Lowe's, and I think Sam Lowe's has a tremendous amount of talent. But I think his head's gone this year because he's got the riding World Superbike. So I honestly think he's riding round when he's Moto 2 bike thinking, I just want to be in my Superbike now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what it's like when you can see something in the future, figuratively see it. You can't literally see it. Figuratively you can see it. And you just want it to happen. I think that's where he's at. So sorry any Sam Lowe's fans who thinks I'm taking the piss. I was kind of, but Jake Dixon. Jake Dixon didn't have a remarkable weekend.
No.
After his result last week.
Yeah, his result last week. But
I think he had was it a thing in qualifying a bit like what happens to Chapman? It's just the wrong bit of the track at the wrong time, didn't come across a yellow flag or something, and it just messes.
I hate that yellow flag rule. Annoys me. That's just why you hate to change that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, I think that just messed up his qualifying, and then that in turn messed up his racing the whole weekend.
But even if somebody comes off in qualifying and they can't rejoin, say they bring that rule in, that's not going to change them having a yellow flag.
No, but I think they can basically just get the rider off the track as quick as possible, get the bike out of the way, and then the yellow flag can just go away. I think it's easier to get it all cleared up when they're not trying to get the rider and the bike back on the track. I don't know. And it might also, I'm not saying it does happen, but if somebody tactically throws it up the road to bring the yellow flag out and mess up everybody else's qualifying, say not Bagnaia, I don't think Bagnaia would do it, but say Bagnaia's posted a really good time and it's worried about somebody beating it, just throw it up the road and then nobody can get a decent time in.
What are you drinking, Sam? A bit of vinegar by the looks of it?
Pinot Grigio, yeah. I made myself a mushroom sauce tonight, which required some Pinot Grigio, and I thought, well, considering I opened the bottle,
you should have sent some to Chippy. He loves mushrooms.
Do you know what? I nearly opened up a bottle of wine myself tonight.
I did hear everything you were saying there about what happened in qualifying, and it's very, very frustrating with the yellow flag. I just don't understand, I don't understand why they have to take a lap off somebody just because there's a yellow flag. Yeah.
I can understand them giving them a bit of a warning, if you're posting your best time through a sector where there's a yellow flag, you should be taking a bit more care. But if you've managed to get in a good time and you've not come off on that sector, surely your laps can still stand.
If you're racing in an actual race, I know you're not. A yellow flag means you're not allowed to overtake, but arguably the person in front of you is going at the same speed, so you won't have to overtake. But you're not going to go slower.
No, you're not.
You're not going to go slower. And if the guy in front of you has an absolute mare and nearly loses the front, you are going to go past him. You're not going to be like, hold on here, I also have to slow down to a crawling pace. So it needs to be sorted. Something needs to happen with that rule because it's just ruins the whole qualifying for me, I think.
Yeah.
But like we said in the news, they may be changing that.
Hopefully.
But yeah, Jake Dixon got 12th. The week before that, he had a great result, obviously, and I was thinking Jake Dixon's still in this title hunt. Would you agree? Last week he was still in the title hunt. Do you think he's in it now?
He's not. Yeah, I think he's not too far off it. So
He's not too far off it.
I think he is still in it.
He's 65 points behind Acosta.
He's going to need a miracle, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
say he's definitely out of it.
He's not out of it yet.
He's only 29 points behind Arbolino,
and who's
not in the best of
he's
form.
not doing very well at the moment.
Despite finishing fourth, which is a bit better. But yeah, he's 65 points behind Acosta, and I don't think Acosta's going to give away that many points.
I can't, but it only takes... I don't like to see it happen, but it only takes one injury, and he's out for like 4 or 5 races. That's his opportunity then to...
Especially now, because they're coming thick and fast, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, not that they ever weren't coming thick and fast, but yeah, they are. The second half of the season seems to be a lot more...
Yeah. It's like 12 races, 10 races in like 12 weeks or something.
Something like that, yeah. Right, Moto 3. I wrote a little bit for Moto 3. I do feel like I need to sneeze, but I will try and hold back the sneezels. Right. I wrote this. This is a bit more exciting, folks, so thanks for sticking with us with the MotoGP and the Moto2. We got that out of the way, and it's on to the more exciting events of the weekend. Right, Moto3 once again provided some of the weekend's best and most exciting racing. From the start, Masia? Is that right? Masia, that's it. From the start, Masia had the pace and stretched quite a significant lead, which was unusual in Moto3. Onchu and Moreira in second and third had also stretched away from the main pack, but they couldn't keep up with Masia. Just before halfway point, Masia's pace dropped a little. Perhaps he was trying to save his tyres. Onchu and Moreira caught up with the young Spanish rider, but they couldn't take advantage of a slower pace, and in fact it allowed all the riders to bunch up, and it was back to a normal Moto3 race for a few laps at least. But once again at the front the pace picked up, but this time it was Onchu who led the race, and Masia was second and Munoz was third. Alonso wasn't far behind in fourth, but riders like Suzuki, Toba and Vair couldn't keep up. They couldn't match the pace of the front runners, and Moreira, who was in third previously, I believe had a slight injury and he fell back. Continuing with recent form, Holgado was at the back fighting for a single point against Suzuki and Yamanaka. Coming to the last few laps, and somehow Alonso bridged the gap and made it a 4-horse race, or 4-bike race. Then Munoz lost the front a little bit and lost any hope of winning. He did stay on the bike, but his confidence was gone and he fell back, and it was now a 3-horse race. The last lap, and anyone watching me, I definitely was on the edge of my seat. Onchu knew that if he led round the last corner, he would win the race, because he would cross the line first, obviously. Insert Captain Obvious here. Halfway through the last lap, Alonso takes Masia, but Masia, coming into the last corner, lets the brakes off to take over Alonso, but in doing so, he almost goes up inside the Onchu and destroys both their rhythms, and that allows Alonso to take the lead and go on and win the race. Now, I thought it was amazing, because Alonso didn't lead the race any point until the very last corner, where he came around and won the race. It was, yes, it was a little bit lucky, but it was absolute perfection.
It was really good.
That is 3 wins from 4 races for Alonso, and he's now only 21 points behind Holgado, who finished 16th, and I can hear that train a-coming. It's a hype train. Choo choo, chugga 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 chugga. Hype train.
It was really, really good from him. It was perfect.
It was brilliant.
He just saw
Do you
it
reckon?
and just thought, I'm off. I'm doing it.
Do you reckon now, out of all the World Championships, Moto3 is probably the most interesting? It's certainly the closest, isn't it?
I love Moto.
Holgado's falling back.
At the start of the season, I previously thought that Moto2 was going to be more exciting, but
yeah. Moto3's wide open at the minute.
Yeah, Moto3's class. Moto3, it always is exciting.
And he was my prediction for this weekend as well.
The problem with Moto3 is even though it's exciting racing, even though the racing is exciting with Moto3, the problem is that a lot of the times it's either riders who've been in the class for a few years and we're kind of like, come on, do something with your career, move on, John McPhee sort of stuff, right, like that. Or it's young riders that you don't know anything about and you don't have any really emotional attachment to them.
Yes.
But then when a young rookie turns up like Acosta or like David Alonso, and in their first year they just start blowing you away, that's when it's like, yes, because you know you're watching somebody that's potentially going to be the next big thing, and there's always one after another. Like, You had Rossi, you had Lorenzo, he was the next Rossi. Marquez, he was the next Lorenzo, maybe even Rossi. And then you got Acosta, who's the next Marquez. And Acosta's not even in MotoGP yet. Now you got David Alonso coming straight behind him. It's so good. I'm so excited. I can't wait for the next few years. But yeah, Moto3, what a race.
Yeah, it was.
What a rider. Brilliant. I hope he wins the championship this year.
I do.
It'd be cool.
It's one of them that everybody likes.
We're not pundits, we're not commentators, we can be biased. We want David Alonso to win the championship. Fuck you, Holgado. No, not really. If Holgado wins, that would also be good. That would also be good.
I think
Holgado
David
wins.
Alonso is the one rider we all actually like.
Yeah.
He's such a nice kid too. Whenever you're listening to him in interviews, did you hear his interview when he won the race?
No, didn't.
No, I skipped past that bit.
Like there was a quite an important member of the MotoGP paddock who passed away recently.
Yes. Mike Trimby.
So yeah, he won the race. He's 17. He's full of adrenaline. He wins the race. He gets a microphone put in front of him. He says everything he has to say, and then he actually takes the time to devote the race to Mike Trimby, who it's nothing to do with him. You know what I mean? It's not like he had any real development in his career. He's only 17. It's not like he's like, I think Mike Trimby, going by the names, an English speaker. He's a young Colombian. It's like, but he took the time to dedicate the race win to Mike Trimby, and he's such a nice lad. I really want him to go places. I think he's class.
I think he will, though, won't he? He will. Yeah, that's. I suppose that covers Moto3, then, doesn't it?
Right. Well, I'm looking at the table. Holgado is first, but he's only 4 points in front of.
Masia?
No, Sasaki.
See, Sasaki's he's doing a bit of a Joan Mir of 2020, isn't he? He's just been consistent, but not.
He didn't have a great. He
finished about 8th, didn't he? 6th or 8th?
Let me see. Sasaki finished in 7th. Yeah, you were right. 7th.
Well,
you said 8th, but close
He
enough.
said 6 and 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was in the middle somewhere.
Average that out. 7th, mate. I do the law of averages, mate, because I'm smart. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's Moto3, unless you want to go into like who's and what's standing. But yeah, I think David Alonso is he's the man on form at the minute. The next race is India, and you have to think that nobody's got any real advantage going into India. Nobody's raced there before.
Yeah. Well, it might not even be going ahead. Apparently, it's going to be decided. It's going to be decided on Thursday after the riders have seen it, and I don't know if they're going round it, and they're deciding then if it'll go ahead or not.
That's a bit strange, isn't it?
Or whether it'll be homologated or whatever. It's
a bit weird to be. It's a bit weird, but that to me seems like they're going to turn up, and then they'll be like, "Oh well, we've come all this way, we've brought all this stuff."
But you're just going to get riders that don't like the track and don't think they're going to go well around there. They'll be like, "Nah, we don't want to race here." And then you're going to get riders who think it's going to favour them that will want to race there.
Well, you'll have the likes of Holgado, who'll be like, "I don't want to do it because it's I lose points."
Yeah.
Or you'll have somebody like Pedro Acosta, who, I'm not saying Pedro Acosta well, I'm just saying he's leading the championship, so it would be in his best interest to not race there.
Yes.
Or Pecco Bagnaia, who's maybe still suffering from having Brad Binder run over his legs. So,
yes.
And he might be like, well, if I had the opportunity, I would rather not race in India.
Yeah.
But then you've come there, you've driven all the trucks there, you've flown all the DHL airplanes have all landed there.
All the tickets have been sold.
Yeah. All the Indians are turning up in their Honda Heroes with about 6 people on every bike, trying to sell carpets and whatnot. That will be happening. I've been to India. It's mad. It's mad, and it's one of the best places I've ever been. All rolled into one. I loved it. It was
I
class.
don't think I could say I could want to go.
No, I don't think I want to go there. I think it'd stink.
It did stink. Yeah, it did. It did. It's horrible, but it's amazing at the same time. The colours, the people, I loved it. Anyway, this isn't a travelling show. Could be. I've done a lot of travelling, but it's not a travelling show. Yeah, you think if everybody turns up, everything's turned up, it might help put a bit of pressure on the riders. But then the thing is, if they all decide to race and something happens, if they decide to race and something happens, what happens then? So
Yeah.
I think it's about outrageous to be in the position in a professional sport where they're going to turn up in a foreign country, and I mean foreign countries in the sense that they've never been there before, but they're going to go to the effort of going there, and they don't even know if they're going to be racing there yet.
Yeah.
That's just bizarre. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
You got all these fans that have already bought the tickets. They're flying over there to go and watch it, and it might not even be happening.
It's not very eco-friendly if they don't race.
It just doesn't make any sense. It's bizarre. Yeah, and like if you're like in control of the TV rights, like, you know, TNT, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're not going to race. What do you do then? Just show reruns? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I can hear my phone buzzing. Last week, did you listen to the podcast?
No, I haven't listened
I
to one in a
listened
few
to the
weeks.
start of it, and do you know what? You said to me, oh, God, you didn't have to waffle on about your bike trip. You waffled on for longer about Robert the Bruce.
Yeah, history lesson.
Yeah.
So he didn't listen to all of it. Halfway through it, my cat came and lay below me and lay below my chair. And I could hear, I was editing it, I could hear my cat purring below my chair the whole way. So listeners, if you heard my cat last week, I apologise. It was definitely my cat. It wasn't anything else. That's right.
Sure, you weren't just
you like
getting
the
a little
type?
bit frisky, Sam.
Did you like the timestamps, by the way?
I didn't actually use them, but I've seen them there.
I didn't
But
see
you-
them. Well, in
but
fact,
you
no, I haven't
noticed-
been on
I
there.
noticed they were on
You
there.
noticed...
Is it on
Did you-
Spotify?
Yes.
Yeah, if you go on Spotify, you can click on the timestamps. You can actually click like on like the Who Am I and listen just to the Who Am I and then turn off the show.
I am loving
want to-
the timestamps on MotoGP, by the way. On
Yeah.
Discovery. It's so good.
The only
Yeah.
downside is when I'm when I'm watching a race for the first time, I can basically
You know
see
there's
how
a-
many crashes it's going to be.
Yeah, but the MotoGP app used to have timestamps before they changed it, and now it doesn't. But on the MotoGP app, they had a no spoiler mode. You could change it to a no spoiler mode, and
right.
the timestamps disappeared. So your Discovery app might have a no spoiler mode.
Right.
Yeah,
And then your
that'd be good.
timestamp-
But what annoys me
disappears.
is the timestamps aren't on the World Superbikes.
No, I don't think they are.
Then what I think happened, I would say Discovery Plus has literally taken the MotoGP app and just amalgamated it into their app, and then thus doing that, they've ruined the MotoGP app because they've had to recreate something else. That sounds like what's happened. And the new
could be.
MotoGP app is pants.
I've heard a lot of people say that. I don't use
Like
it, but
it's okay for what it is, but then when you take how much they charge for it, it's like, great. I'm moving house, so whenever I move house, I'm going to try and get like BT Sports or something. Right, we are rattling on a pile of nonsense.
We really
should
are.
be talking. We should be talking about the World Superbikes.
yes.
Right, World Superbikes. Again, I wrote the notes for World Superbike. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I wrote the notes is because I'm unemployed, so I just sit around the house and I don't do anything. It's not that I'm the only one that cares about the podcast. My co-hosts also care about the podcast.
But I have family up.
I
Yeah, you had
and
stuff
I
to
was
do.
spending time with that family.
Yeah, Chip had family up, and Ash was spending time with his family. And it's not like I don't have a family who lives with me all the time. But
You say
anyway.
that we obviously you're the only person that obviously we all care about the podcast, but the way you go on, you seems like you are the only one that cares about it.
Well, I'm glad you said it. Right, so
Oh, you aren't doing this.
Well-
You didn't answer me in 20 minutes.
no, it was over an hour. It was well over an hour, and I seen two blue. I asked you a question. 8 minutes later, you replied. You sent me a message about something else completely entirely on a different WhatsApp chat, and then an hour later, you still hadn't answered my question. And when I prompted you to answer the question, all I got was a laugh emoji. And then I had to prompt you again, and then rather than give me an answer, you just tried to slag me off. So forgive me if I got a little bit tasty with my language. Asshole. I was angry.
It was funny.
Yes, I thought I maybe went a little bit too far. I apologise, but I was fucking cross. Right, World Superbikes Race 1. Right. Garrett Gerloff was in pole. This was the first time the American had ever been in pole, so it was a big deal for him and for BMW as well. There was a delayed start. It turns out it was due to the safety car broken down
Oh, I
at
didn't
one
know
of the
that.
turns, and yeah, it's not. If you watch it replayed or if you're not watching it live, they just cut that bit out. But there was a delayed start, so they did the warm up lap, and they were about to cut the lights, and then all the riders put their hands up, and it turns out like turn 3 down the road, the safety car had shit itself and was on the road.
Yeah, because I heard all
So-
the fans go, "Way!" And someone was.
I thought
and
it
someone
was-
was like, "Did
I-
somebody run on the track?" Or
I thought it was going to. I thought there was going to be like some sort of stop oil protester on. I was like, fucking run him over. But anyway, it wasn't one of them. Because whenever we went to Donington Park, they were always saying like, if you see
Yeah.
somebody, let everybody know. And you read between the lines, they were kind of saying, if you see somebody, rugby tackle that motherfucker and don't let him on the track. That's what I thought they were saying. Anyway, Gerloff was in pole. It's the first time the American had been in pole. It was a big deal for Gerloff and for BMW. It was the first time American had been in pole since John Hopkins. There was a delayed start. Turns out it was due to the safety car, like I already said. Right, lights went out. Batista takes the lead, and Rinaldi looks like he's got the bit between his teeth, and we know why, because Ducati have said goodbye to him. Johnny Ray makes a Marquez-style front-end saves, not the first time he's done that. Comes on to lap 2, Top Rack has got the lead. Batista didn't look comfortable, and Rinaldi was all over him as if to say, I'm going to beat you and prove to these Italian manufacturers that I should have kept this right. Lap 3, and Batista's bike just seems to stop. Did you notice that? Well, of course you noticed it. You watched the race.
Yeah.
His bike
Yes.
just seemed to shit itself and stop.
it was on a
What did
corner,
happen?
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Just at the start of lap 3.
And he dropped really far back.
But
Such
he
a
wasn't out of the
shame.
race. So, yeah, such a shame. Throughout the race as well, Alex Lowe's, his bike kept smoking, but
It
nothing
did.
seemed to come of it for a while at least. Despite his earlier problem, Batista is now back in the race, and he's lapping at the same pace as the leaders, but he's back in 24th.
Yeah.
Right. Back at the front, Rinaldi and Top Rack are gapping Ray, who's pushing hard to keep in third. Lap 13 or 14, I don't know exactly what it was, but Rinaldi and Top Rack, they come together and Rinaldi runs off the track, and then whenever he re-enters the track, it's like he's trying to lose some time, but whenever he re-enters, he almost rams into Top Rack and sends him flying.
He looked at Top Rack as well. It was almost like he did that on purpose.
Well, whenever I was seeing it as it was happening, I thought, oh, he's trying to make sure he loses some time.
Yeah.
Then he came in and almost rams into him. Yeah, it was a bit strange. But after that, Rinaldi never really seemed to recover. It's almost like he was settling for second. Like he was trying. I don't know if he was shaking, if he just realised he didn't have the tyres or the pace, or if he was trying to show the organisers that he wasn't taking the piss. Ray, Lowe's, and Gerloff were in third, fourth, and fifth. 3 laps to go, and Brad Ray pulled into the pits. Thought what was worth mentioning for the pits. Right on cue, Chippy. Locatelli, Petrucci and Redden were having a good race for 6th, but again the TVs didn't show much of it. 2 laps to go, and Lowe's seems to finally notice that there's oil or something coming from his bike and there's smoke, and he reluctantly slows down, but he only falls back to 8th. In the end, Top Rack wins, Rinaldi 2nd, and Reyes came 3rd. Gerloff is 4th, Petrucci 5th, Locatelli 6th, Redden 7th, Lewis 8th. Ertl was 9th, and unbelievably, after falling back to last place, Batista ended up finishing 10th.
Yeah, that's pretty good. He
Salvaged some points there, didn't he?
clawed it back.
He did.
Did you notice that when they came over the line, though, Petrucci was shaking his head like mad, like he was really pissed off about something?
No, I didn't
remember
know.
that.
If you watch back, you just see Petrucci just going like that and smacking his bike, and I'm like, bloody hell, mate, you're not done that bad. You came 5th. I don't know why I didn't hear him say anything about it. Or
He was racing Gerloff and Locatelli. I'm not sure. Right, that leaves, after that race, not after the whole weekend, but after that race, that left the gap at 55 points between Toprak and Batista. That is quite significant when you think about the fact that is it Most in Czechoslovakia?
yeah,
Not Czechoslovakia, Czech
Most.
Republic, sorry. Most in Czech Republic. Czechoslovakia's not been a country for years. Czech Republic, Most in Czech Republic, that his tyre just blew up.
Yeah.
Cost him 25 points. So they must be able to sue for that or something. if this championship ends up coming down to like 5 points,
Yeah.
they
You'd
must
be
be able to
raging,
go-
wouldn't you?
They must be able to go to, is it Pirelli? They must be able to go
Yeah.
to Pirelli and say, we lost the championship by 5 points and we should have had at least 20. We'd have came at least second in that race. We would have won that championship if your tyre hadn't blew. And then Pirelli will be like, shut up, you're winning the manufacturer's championship anyway. Which they are, because Toprak gets more podiums than Batista. Anyway, yeah, I thought that was worth noting. 55 points. It's not, like you said, when it comes to Acosta, you don't wish it on anybody, but it just takes one little crash and your
Yeah.
weekend's gone. So it's not against the realms of possibility that Toprak could come back and win this championship.
I hope so.
I'd love to see Toprak
I
win it.
would.
I would love to see him win it as well, because then I could rub it in your face, Chippy, because you're all like, oh, World Superbikes is boring. And I'd be like, well, it's not boring, because Batista didn't win. Ha ha ha. That's what I would say.
Yes, but probably not going to say that because he's probably still going to win it.
I just want him to. I want him to win it, so then Yamaha can be like, shit.
Yeah, see him take the number 1 plate to BMW.
Yeah. Oh God. What
I don't know if this is worth keeping for silly season, but it's not really. Well, you know he's going to BMW.
Yeah.
Apparently they said that Yamaha are digging their feet in, and they're not going to release Toprak until the very last minute, so he won't be able to test on the BMW until January next year. Because obviously they're within that. Yeah, but I don't think I don't think it's that amicable. They're split, because
No.
he's basically said, you're not going to send me to MotoGP, so you're not going to have me to win the World Superbikes. And he's went to BMW, which is a mistake.
Yeah.
And Yamaha's, well, if you're going to be like that, we're not going to let you test until.
I wonder
last
if
minute.
Kawasaki will do the same with Johnny Ray, because he's had to buy himself out.
They could, but Kawasaki. Now I know no rider's bigger than any manufacturer, but I think Kawasaki owe a great deal of gratitude
they
to
do.
Johnny
Yeah.
Ray.
Yes.
You know, you could argue, yes, they had the champion before Johnny Ray got there with Tom Sykes, but Johnny Ray won 6 championships. Come on.
Yeah.
He's done a lot for Kawasaki. He's been a fantastic ambassador. It would be shitty of them not to let him go to Yamaha. But they might.
We could do it.
Business. It is a business at the end of the day. They might. But I think it's less likely.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
agree with that.
Right. Moving on to Sunday's sprint. Right, first of all, in the sprint, he's happy if I read this? Because I read it
Yeah,
out
go
now.
for it.
Yes.
First of all, in the sprint, it looked absolutely boiling. In fact, it looked really hot all weekend, but it looked particularly boiling in the sprint. There was a picture of Petrucci just sitting at the side with this little fan, and I was like, that's doing nothing with your leathers on. Being a sprint race, it was thought that Gerloff might have a better opportunity of getting a podium, possibly even winning, because he had a good qualifying pace. It's a typical start with the usual protagonist hitting the front. Rinaldi's fired up, just like in race 1, and the aforementioned Gerloff is looking strong. until his teammate Scott Redden comes out of nowhere and just sends them both into the gravel halfway around the first lap at the 180. Good old
Penalty.
Scott Redden.
I need to rewatch that bit.
Like, you said to me, Ash, that you thought it was a racing incident.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. And I watched it 2 or 3 times. It's not a racing incident.
That was a bit like what Onshu did the other week.
I need to rewatch it.
You watch it and you see all the other bikes, and all the other bikes are going at the same pace, and they're all going at that pace because that's the pace you take that corner. And then just barreling out of nowhere, Scott Redden just comes Gran Turismo style, just sends them both flying into the gravel. Now, the first few laps in this race were absolutely mega, I thought. Toprak was holding back the Ducatis on both sides. They were just all over him. And fourth and fifth, the Kawasaki's were there to pick up any pieces. The question I had was, where was Rinaldi all season when he could be riding like this? Where was he at? Now, this is the question I've asked. When's a penalty not a penalty? Right? Scott Redden's in 23rd. His bike's been in the gravel, and they give him a long lap penalty for what he did in Gerloff. What's the point?
Yeah.
What's the point of that penalty?
There's no point.
That to me, like if you're on a bike and you take somebody out and you crash, that to me encourages you to get back on your bike, do your long lap penalty there and then your next race it's sorted. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah, we'll come back to that. 5 laps and Rinaldi has set back-to-back fastest laps, but he can't check off his teammate or the R1 of Toprak. And at the hairpin, Toprak late in the brakes goes up the inside of Rinaldi. Batista, trying to live with the world's best on the brakes, tries to follow Toprak, but instead takes out Rinaldi.
And he did it with style, didn't he? Like, Jesus Christ.
But Batista falls back, but he manages to regain second. But Race Direction decided that there doesn't need to be a penalty, even though he just let the brakes go and just rammed his teammate. It rammed him. Oh, a teammate, but at the end of the race he was flying a Spanish flag, so that might have something to do with it. More on that later. So we go on. Toprak wins. Batista was second. I said Red was third in the doc, but it's actually Ray was third. Locatelli was fourth. Pedrucci was fifth. Ligatur was sixth. Baz was seventh. Bassani was eighth. Don't know who that was in ninth.
Vierge,
that's it. Thank you. I was thinking Vire, and I was like, Vire's not in World Superbike. And Ertl came after that in ninth, I believe. Yeah, so few things to talk about there. Scott Redden, like, I'll come back to that. Scott Redden gets a penalty. I understand he deserves to get a penalty because he's crashed into his teammate, he's taken his teammate out, but he's in 23rd, his bike's been in the gravel, he's not exactly going to win the race, and Race Direction say, oh, you've got to do a long lap penalty. Well, what's the point of that? That's not a penalty.
I don't get the point of it.
That's not a penalty. It's like, we'll happily do my long lap penalty because it saves me doing it in my next race. It's like Anna Carrasco doing something wrong and him saying, oh, you've got a 3-second penalty. What's the point? She's already 30 seconds back. You know what I mean? It's just pointless. It's not a penalty.
I don't think she goes fast enough to get a penalty.
I still don't think she's come off yet all season.
No, she hasn't.
Which says that she's not pushing the bike at all.
Oh, come on, Anna, please.
She's just riding it round.
And I'm not saying this because I don't like Scott Redden. I'm saying this just in a general. I think the penalty rules are mad. Scott Redden gets a penalty when, yes, he deserves a penalty, but he gets a penalty when it's not a penalty. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. There's no point of him doing it. And then later on in the race, Batista just fucks into Rinaldi, and they don't do anything about it.
That was fine. Definitely a penalty. Like,
yeah, it was.
Now I know with the race, and if he'd got he'd done a long lap penalty, he probably would have finished. Oh, sorry, we keeping you up, Chippy. Is that what it is?
No, I was seeing if I closed my move ring today. Actually,
Chippy keeps looking at his watch and yawning like he's. Yeah, so they just decide not to give Batista a penalty. It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
There needs to. I'd like to think we're better. I like to think MotoGP, motorbike racing can be better than these other sports. Just get it right. It's not hard. It's not difficult.
Yeah, it's not. But for some reason, I don't know.
Yeah, what I was going to say was, realistically, if Batista did a long lap penalty, he might have came third. It's not It's not going to change the championship drastically. Fundamentally, it's going to be the same. But come on, a little bit. Just doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they're doing it to create a bit of controversy and get people talking.
Because there's nothing else to talk about.
That's not fair on the riders, though, is it? If that's the case,
I swear that's what they do in MotoGP sometimes. Just give out dodgy decisions just to generate interest in the sport, like they used to do in Formula One.
There probably is a bit of that.
Yeah,
there probably is a bit of that, Chippy. You're probably right. There's probably reason for that, or not reason for that, but there's probably truth behind your speculation. But yeah, I just keep going back to that Scott Redden one. What was the point? Because to me, like, if you're a rider and you make a mistake, like say you're in the sprint race in MotoGP. Now I know MotoGP's not World Superbikes, but they do mirror each other in some ways. If you're in a sprint race in MotoGP and you crash and you take somebody out, and in the back of your head you're thinking, oh crap, I'm going to get a penalty for this, it kind of encourages you to get back in the bike and ride around and think, oh, I'm going to try and win this race from 24th or 23rd because there's a rider out. And then they'll be like, oh, you've got a long lap penalty. Oh, really? Oh, dear. And then you take your long lap penalty and you're going, oh, that long lap penalty ruined my race.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
Yes. But yeah, if you just come off the bike and then just retire, they'll give you a penalty at your next race.
That'll be the next race.
Yeah.
So to me, and again, this isn't me digging at Scott Redden because I like Scott Redden. To me, it's Scott Redden should get back. He should have read round, get some tests, blah blah blah, so he can go in with some information. And then they should have been, oh, by the way, your next race you've got a penalty. Fair enough.
He needs to sort his hair out.
Who, me?
No, Redding.
Why? What's it like at the minute?
White.
I didn't see.
Bleach white.
What is in? Oh God.
A lot of people seem to be doing this at the moment.
Oh, speaking of bleached white.
Oh God, you're not going to do it, are you?
No, this is just going back to the MotoGP. What did you think of Grassini's livery they had this week?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really nice. I think Grassini hit the nail on the head with it. Like, I really like their purpley lilac, whatever colour that is.
Yeah.
I'm calling it purple. I really like that. And I like that white one as well. I thought it was, like, really nice. Toothpastey Fresh.
No, it was good. I quite like the Ducati in the yellow.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think it would have been funny if both Bastianini and Bagnaia couldn't have read it when they're having the yellow livery. I think that would have been hilarious.
Yeah. Anyway.
So. Right. Anyway. Right. Race 2 in the World Superbikes to bring it all to a close.
I didn't watch this.
Well, you didn't watch it on my
recommendation,
right? Race. I did send you a message saying you should watch the start of it.
Yeah, but I couldn't find the video for the highlights. I didn't want to watch the whole race.
All right. So race 2 was decent enough. It was a decent enough start, but looked like it was going back to business as usual with Batista, Ray, and Toprak at the front, and they were pulling away. And to be honest, that's kind of how the race went for the most part. Batista was easily in the lead, and it looked like Ray was holding Toprak up.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. 4 laps in, and there was an accident between Scott Redden and Agater. Agater was conscious, but I believe he did have to go to hospital and receive some treatment, but he was okay at his thumbs up, so all in all, I think he was fine. Redden seemed to be having an awful weekend, was responsible for the race, and he had to receive another 2 long lap penalties. The race was restarted. It was a 17-lap race. Redden had 2 long lap penalties this time. So I guess he got his comeuppance in the end. With the restart, it was copy and paste from what happened earlier, with Batista at the front, Toprak second, Ray in third. And that's pretty much the order they went in until the race was over. It was very reminiscent of the rest of the season, race 2.
Yeah.
They kind of mentioned it in race 1 that if Batista hadn't had that problem, going by how well he finished in race 1, that Yamaha knew that the Ducati had the legs to beat it. So they tried to mess around with the settings and they ended up making it worse, it looks like.
I think Bautista went into that race thinking, right, I've got something to prove here. Let's go. But I was gutted that Top Rack didn't win, because that would have mean my predictions for that weekend would have been a hat trick, because I said Top Rack for every race. It's only got 2 of them.
Well, you didn't.
Well, I didn't, but I got more than you.
Should
call this game I win.
Well, for this weekend, but I'll tell you what, next season we'll do like a proper little league.
Yeah, next season I'm going to have a little, not Excel spreadsheet because I don't have a Windows laptop, but I'm going to have some sort of spreadsheet.
You can have a numbers spreadsheet. It's numbers on there,
Some
Matt.
sort of spreadsheet.
I'll have a numbers spreadsheet, and I'll go on YouTube and I'll learn how to use it, and I'll have all the formulas, so that all I have to do is hit a number and it will all work out for me.
Yes.
I'll get my wife to do that for me. No, I'll watch YouTube. YouTube explains all. You can find everything out on YouTube.
Yeah, I found
As the
out how to
second
put my
best.
second screen onto this TV screen via YouTube.
But you still haven't figured out how to stop your microphone from buzzing.
No, I haven't, unfortunately. Sorry.
Right, well that was the weekend's racing. Like I said, there was World Supersport. There was World Supersport 300. But
We did I didn't have enough time. I had to watch all the races.
I didn't have enough
one
time to
thing.
watch all that.
There was a first world champion confirmed this weekend, though, wasn't there?
Oh,
In
Moto E.
Moto E.
Why was that not in your news?
Well, because I don't care about Moto E.
But yeah, I've seen a few people on Twitter talking about Moto E, and it's a shame that more people don't watch it, because and it is actually good racing. Like whenever you do watch it, the racing is good. It's just that I don't care about anybody that's riding.
The thing, yeah, you generally only go to Moto E if you're not quite, well, if you haven't made it in MotoGP or Moto 2, Moto 3.
Do you know who was riding in Moto E this week? Tito Rabat. Tito Rabat has literally fallen. He's fallen from grace so far now. He's riding in Moto E.
Yeah. I mean, it did Domi Agata good, but he also won the World Supersport.
I don't want to like rain all down on BSB, because I know BSB is a good championship, but it's like even BSB was like, he's not good enough for BSB. Moto E's below it. It's supposed to be a world championship, and it's below British Superbikes, which is, like you say, lads and dads.
Yeah.
There's dudes in their garage building bikes going to race in British Superbikes. Moto E is supposed to be like, it's alongside MotoGP. It's like supposed to be the best of the best, and it's got has-beens and nobody's racing on it.
I'm pretty sure this, this
and
women's...
I'm saying that in relevance of the people who are racing around him in that paddock.
Yeah.
Obviously, like Danny Pedrosa went in there, he would absolutely mince it.
But yeah, this new women's championship that's starting next year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they're going to be known as the world champion. So we could have Anna Carrasco, 2-time world champion, or even more if she wins a few championships. She could end up with more world championships than.
The thing is, I would watch the women's world championship before I would watch the Moto E world championship.
Yeah, I would.
Because the women, you can argue. Now, I'm not trying to be sexist, but you can argue that the women are maybe at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah.
When it comes to racing a bike. Mate, they touched on this when they were talking about Danny Pedrosa. He's so small. The guy weighs 8 stone. It's hard for him to move the bike around, which in a way just shows how good he is, the fact that he can do it. But they're heavy bikes. They're not easy to throw around. So if you're carrying less muscle, it's not as easy for you. So my point is, if you watch a women's world championship, every one of them women deserves to be there, because they're the best for the women. You know what I mean? Whereas you watch Moto E and it's like, well, you guys just you're good enough to race bikes, but you're just not good enough to be anywhere else. Yeah, it's almost like, none of the domestic championships want you. That's how poor you are. Like Moto America doesn't want you, Australian Superbikes doesn't want you, BSB doesn't want you. Like you're literally there. I'd imagine there's one or two of them who grew up racing in the MotoGP paddock. Yeah, who just want to stay there, or maybe they see it as a stepping stone to get into maybe MotoGP. But yeah,
I mean, didn't Domi Agata? I think he won it the year that he won his World Supersport, or one of his World Supersport championships. I think it kind of helped him, but it wasn't his main thing. He kind of just did it as well as the Supersport.
We probably should mention his name. It's Mattia Casade.
Oh, I haven't seen. Hang on, I'll have a look.
Casade, Casadei, Mattia Casade, who races at HP Pawns.
Cassadei, yeah, it looks like that. Cassadei.
Yeah. Let's go through, like, Jordi Torres. I recognise that name.
Jordi Torres, yes. Hector Garzo, he was in Moto2 a couple of years ago. He had where Aaron Canet is now, because they have the same number because of the sponsorship. They have to have the 40 in that style. Anyway, that's just a little random fact.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did you hear that Sam Lowe's going into World Superbikes? There's somebody else in World Superbikes who's going to be running number 11, so Sam Lowe's won't be able to run number 11, so apparently he's going to be going number 14.
Ah,
So who's number 11? I forget who it was they said, but there's somebody somebody on World Superbikes.
well,
He's either going there or is already there. He's on number 11, so he can't run it.
Balega runs 11 at the minute in World Supersport.
That might be it. That might be it.
Yeah, it might be him.
Will he be taking
Because
the
they're
11
both
into World Supers then?
Yeah, he must be, because
Right.
they're both on Ducati, so I guess Ducati's saying he's on our factory, blah, blah, blah. So,
Right.
Hector Gazzo, yeah, back to Moto E. Tito Rabat, who was in there this weekend.
I don't recognise any other names. Spinelli?
No, it's Mika Perez, I don't recognise that name. Nicolas.
Spinelli rings a bell.
Andrea Migno?
Oh, was he in
Andrea
there?
Migno. Yeah, but he last, so I think he just jumped in. He must have just...
Yeah, because he had a few... He couldn't get a
He-
permanent Moto3 ride this year because he basically hasn't got the funds to buy his way in, which I think's wrong anyway, but that's a completely different subject. But yeah, I think he's just desperate for a ride somewhere. But
again, that's
decent.
what Moto2 is. Moto2's, I don't want to say, I say has-beens in the sense that, Jordi Torres is definitely at the twilight of his career, and he was never the best of the best anyway. He was a decent enough name that, he was a decent enough rider. I wouldn't want to be in the back of him, put it that way, because I imagine he'd go pretty fast, but he's definitely in the twilight of his career. And then
Yes.
you've got other riders like Migno, who are, inverted commas, up and coming and struggling to get a ride, and they just need to go somewhere, so they go to Moto E.
Yeah.
And they invest so much money in this electric stuff. Come out today that BMW is doing like £600 million worth of some contract to make electric cars. Why?
Electric isn't the way forward.
Yeah, we've already discussed
Hydrogen's-
hydrogen's the way
Hydrogen
forward,
is the way it's going to go. Put money into that if you're listening, BMW.
If you're
Highly
listening to
doubtful
this
they are.
podcast, what do you think? Do you think it's worth investing money into electric cars, electric bikes, or do you think hydrogen is going to be the way it's going to go? And what do you think of Moto E? Do you think should we pay it more attention, or do you think
Less.
it belongs at the bottom of the pile? Let us know what you think. Podcast at bigbadbs.co.uk. I am adamant that nobody's listening, but anyway.
Oh, my dog farted, you dirty little bastard. Oh, God.
Whoa, what are we going to call this episode?
Oh, God. That's bad, man.
Right. I think we've talked about the racing and a lot more.
Yes.
So what are we going to move on to now? I think it's time for us to delve into the wondrous section that we like to call Silly Season.
Okay. So should we start with the big one? The Marc Marquez to Grassini rumours.
That's what she said. Right, yes.
Where do we stand on this? Is he going to Grassini? Is he staying at Honda?
I literally changed my mind on this more than I changed my socks, and I changed my socks quite a lot
Yes.
because I've got smelly feet. So, no, I was adamant that he's going to stay at Honda because I think it's like they were saying, he's looking for an excuse to stay. And apparently Honda's listening to him. But after the test today, he seems to be coming out and saying he thinks they're going to have the same problem. So, I don't know, man. I think he might move now. I honestly think he might
that's
jump
what I'm
ship.
thinking. But I don't know, because he came out and said he was disappointed with it. And he's now admitted for the first time that he has got the choice of 2 options for next year. But I don't know whether he's saying that to give Honda a bit more of a kick up the backside, or
they're saying that Honda's listening to him and they're basically going to try and poach engineers.
Yeah. They're going to go with a more European approach.
But Honda, I've never worked for a Japanese company, but I know people that have, and I listen to motorbike people talking about it. Honda, being Japanese, and this the company, they remind me of a company that's steeped in tradition. And even if they bring in European engineers and stuff, I think they might hit a brick wall, and there might be a bit of arguments, and it might take a year or two for anything to come to fruition. Like bringing in new engineers and saying we need to do this, we need to do that. I can imagine the big brass at Honda being really obtuse and making it really difficult and thinking, well, we don't care about Marc Marquez that much. We're making money, we're selling Fireblades, we're selling cars. Who does he think he is? I think they might bring in a few engineers just to keep him, but ultimately not do anything with it.
Yeah.
And I think Marc Marquez might be a bit paranoid about that too. So I genuinely think this is the first time up until now I've said he's going to stay, but after the test, this is the first time I genuinely think he's going to go to Gresini. I do.
I think he should go to Gresini.
I do. Well, I think he wants to win. He wants to win now. So I don't think he's going to want to stay at Honda and wait for them to develop the bike over the next 2 or 3 years.
Then he
to get
will
it
be past it then.
But the rumour, like a little fetus, eventually grew some legs. The little fetus grows legs eventually. I know what I'm talking about. Grew some little legs, didn't it? Oh, look at me. I like a little fishy coming out of the river for the first time and evolving some legs. The rumour also grew legs. It evolved. And not only is he going to grow to Gresini, Red Bull's going to grow to Gresini. He's going to buy Gresini. Marc Marquez is going to own Gresini. I don't know what this is. So have you heard the rumour that he's going to go to Gresini and he's going to buy shares in Gresini and he's effectively going to own Gresini?
Yeah, I've heard this.
And apparently Red Bull's going to go as well, and it's going to be... But I don't know how Gresini feel about that. It's like, well, is it Gresini Ducati or is it Red Bull Ducati? But
who knows?
But if he goes to Gresini and he buys it.
That means,
or buy shares.
That means he's
buy shares.
He's his brother's boss, then, isn't he?
Well, if he buys shares and becomes the largest, owner of Gresini, effectively owns it, does that mean it's his brand?
Yeah,
it's his. Is that his way of
going like, hey Alex,
MM93?
I'm the big brother. I own this company. You do as you're told.
It will no longer be the Gresini bike. It will be the Marquez Ducati, not the Gresini Ducati.
Ash, do you think he's going to go to Gresini Ducati?
I think he will, and I think he should, because he's just not getting anywhere with a Honda. So,
do we think that the Aprilia is just a no-go anymore? Because we were on that train.
He's going to
think
do.
It's a no-go.
Better on a Ducati.
That was looking for 20. That was looking at the end of 2024.
Yeah. That was looking to. That was if he was going to stay with Honda and complete his contract.
Yeah.
I think if he stays at Honda, that is an option for next year.
It is, but I think he should go on the Ducati because it'll be better.
I think it's better for him too if it goes in the Ducati, because we were talking about this.
And obviously, you were talking about the merchandise and the marketing. Both the Marquez brothers on the same team. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, Chippy and I were talking about this previously because we had all watched different races.
Yeah.
At one stage, you had watched the World Superbikes but not the MotoGP, and Chippy had watched the MotoGP but not World Superbikes. So me and Chippy were talking World Superbikes, and then we started talking about the rumour of Marc Marquez, and it's if he stays at Honda and manages to win at Honda again, that's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, it would
but
be.
that's if he can win at Honda, and if Honda work with him, and if Honda actually do what they need to do, blah blah blah. There are a lot of ifs there. But if he goes to Ducati and wins in Ducati, that's also amazing because he's won in a second manufacturer.
Absolutely.
And
I don't think he will.
I
don't think any company he goes to, he's not going to do much. But then
again, that's wishful thinking.
It's not wishful thinking. It's not. I just genuinely don't think he's going to do much, no matter where he goes.
Well,
and if he does, if he starts winning, then I'll just say, "Well, I was wrong."
Well, look at the Hondas this weekend. Takahashi didn't even qualify. You got Nakagami and Bradle. They were like second to last and last. There was Joan Mir came off again. Apart from Alex Rins winning that one race, he hasn't really done a lot else.
I get what you're saying.
Marquez is the only one who can get it in the top 10.
Right, yes.
Ash.
Go on.
Even though he's not top Honda in the championship, I'll just put that in there. Ash, I'm going to take you down a little trail.
Okay.
And before we get to the final destination, you're going to know the question I'm going to ask and what I'm going to pose. But I'm going to take you down it anyway. If Danny Pedrosa in the KTM was to be racing week in, week out, let's say he was in Jack Miller's seat and he was racing week in, week out, do you think Danny Pedrosa could win races? Do you think Danny Pedrosa could be a championship contender? Considering he's had 2 races and he finished 4th this weekend, twice. Do you think he could win races?
Yes.
Do you think if Danny Pedrosa and Marc Marquez were on the same bike, Marc Marquez or Danny Pedrosa would win? Who do you think would win if they were both on the same bike? Consider Marc Marquez is 8 years younger, 7 years younger, and has proven year in, year out that he's better than Danny Pedrosa. Who do you think would win?
Danny Pedrosa.
Oh,
no, you would not.
No, absolutely not.
I think Marquez's injuries have just surpassed him.
I don't think. Do you know what? I honestly believe the best thing that could have happened to Mark was the Honda being in the state that it's in, because this year he's had to take a step back, and he's had to, like, at the start of the year he was pushing the bike and he was like, I'm going to win races, I'm going to prove that I'm still the best, and then he realised that couldn't happen and he's had to take a step back. And I think personally that's the best thing he could have done, because it gives him that extra year to allow his injuries to heal. It's another year on the bike, that muscle memory. I think put him in a Ducati next year.
And I think also he's learned how to finish 6th. He's learned how to finish lower and not push to win.
He's growing, yeah. He's humbled himself and he's taken a lot from this year.
I just can't see him doing much.
Because previously he was win it or bin it, and he just won more than what he binned. He was more win than he was bin. Whereas now he'll be like win it or 5th or 6th.
Do you know what?
I honestly think
I hope he does well. I hope he goes somewhere and does well, because he has had such a shit time. I do want to see him do well, but I just don't think he's going to do it.
Oh, I think he can. And
I think he can.
I am genuinely want him to, because I love just watching magnificent things happen.
I mean, it'd be an amazing. It would be an amazing comeback, and it would be really good to see. It'd be really good to see him go to Gresini and absolutely smash it. I think it would be really cool to all of a sudden he's on this Honda. He's had such a shit time the past couple of years, to then go and freaking win a championship next year. I think it'd be class. I'd take my hat off to him. I would.
You'd be so bitter.
That just begs one question. If he does go to Ducati and he does win, does that finally answer the question of who's the best?
No, because they'll be matched, you see. They'll be matched on championships.
But he's only 31.
No. He needs to win 10. If he gets to 10 championships, I will then come out and say that Marc Marquez is better.
Marc Marquez is 30. If Marc Marquez goes to Ducati and wins,
the thing is, if you say
win more than one.
You say that he won't be better than Rossi because he's won the same amount of championships, but that can't make Rossi better than Marquez if they're on the same. That makes them equally as good as each other.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But head to head, Marquez has won 6, Rossi's won 0, so really that makes Marquez better.
No, it doesn't, because...
Well, it does.
Rossi's won 9.
You say that. But you say that
Head-to-head.
head-to-head in 2015, Rossi beat Marquez. Although he didn't win the championship, he still finished higher than Marquez.
But championship-wise, head-to-head is 6-0.
Yes, I know, but you could also argue that head-to-head, Marquez was racing Rossi when he was towards the end of his career. So the fact
Right, okay,
that Rossi
so we're going to say 6-1 then.
No.
I would say...
No.
To me... Now, I'm a Rossi fan, and I believe Rossi's the GOAT. But I'm not a fanboy, so I can't argue both sides. To me, if you want to argue Marc Marquez is better than Rossi, the one thing that would seal the deal was the fact that in 2013 he moved from Moto2 to MotoGP and he absolutely destroyed everybody in his first year. Not just Rossi, but Lorenzo, Dani Pedrosa, Dovizioso, destroyed them all in his first year. That, to me, that elevated him to somewhere else. And then he went on, and yes, he's won 8 championships, not 9. If he wins a 9th championship, even if he does it on the Honda, it's incredible. But if he does it on Ducati, it's another manufacturer. There still will be arguments for who's better. But
if Marquez passes it, if he gets to 10, I will then come out and say that Marquez is better than Rossi.
But then if that's your argument, then you have to say that your man's the best because he's won 15. What's his name?
Agostini's
won 15 championships. Mike Hailwood won 9 championships, I think.
Yeah.
So was he just as good as Rossi?
Well, no, because obviously they weren't on as quicker bikes, were they?
But it was all relative at the same time. They were on the bikes at the same speed.
I suppose I don't really have as much. I don't have as much love for them because I didn't watch them.
So you're admitting that the only reason you think Rossi's the best is because he was racing whenever you were at that point in your life when you were
he is the best.
Agostini was the best.
Here's a question for you, Chippy, because this is a Marquez question. You can answer it as well, Ash, but I'm posing this to Chippy because you asked me not to make you choose between these two before. Now you could argue that if Johnny Ray had went into MotoGP, he could have done great things. We'll never know.
This to me.
We'll never know. Let's say Marc Marquez. This isn't even silly season. Let's say I like it. Let's say Marc Marquez goes to Ducati and wins, and Johnny Ray goes to Yamaha and wins. Oh, who's the greatest? Who's got the best season at least?
Marc Marquez.
Yeah, I'd say Marc Marquez because he's come from a lower position.
Oh, get the fuck. It's Johnny Ray, 100%.
But I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Johnny Ray. But Marquez...
Would you rather... Oh, actually, no, this doesn't really apply to you two, but I don't know if I'd rather see Johnny Ray or Marquez win a championship. Probably Johnny Ray.
I'd rather see Johnny Ray.
I'd rather see Johnny Ray win the championship. I wouldn't care. Marquez never wins another championship. But in saying that, and in a way I do want to win a championship, I do want Marquez to win another championship. But I think...
He won't.
I tweeted this. If you go on to the Big Bad Bike Show Twitter page, or X page, as if you go on to it, Chippy, I know you've got it. If you go on to it, you can see all the... I was going mad with the Twitter at the weekend.
I haven't actually looked.
Right? I must have made about 20 tweets at the weekend. I was going mental. But one of them I said was, if Dani Pedrosa can turn up and come fourth in a MotoGP race, surely that's enough evidence that if you put Marquez on a Ducati, he'll win a championship. That was what I said. Now, I guarantee you, 20 minutes after I made that tweet, they were talking about it on MotoGP. They were saying that people are suggesting that because Dani Pedrosa's doing so well, that his era was better than this era. And I was like, that's pretty much what I tweeted. Obviously, I wasn't the only person making that. I wasn't the only person making that connection. But that, to me, is enough proof that if you put... Like, let's say if you put Marc Marquez on a KTM, come on, he's going to win races.
He is going to win races, but Ash doesn't want to admit it.
He's already put I know he's not won races in the Honda this year, but he has finished. He has put it on pole. He's done a fastest lap. He's proved he can get a fast lap out of that bike.
Yeah.
But then obviously it all fell to shit, and
he's got a podium in a sprint.
His confidence went, and he's on a bike that doesn't work.
He might win some races, but he's not going to win another championship. He's not going to do it.
Again, wishful thinking from Ash.
It's not wishful thinking.
Shall we move on? Because this is just going to turn into a Marquez podcast.
Yeah, so do we all think Marquez is going to go to Garcia Ducati?
I think so.
I'm 50-50, but out of the two, I possibly think he is.
I was in the Honda camp, but now I am like Marquez. If he buys Grassini, I am 51-49. I think he's going to Grassini.
Yes.
Yes, right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Jesus, that spiralled out of control.
So, a potential replacement, if Marc Marquez does go, is Iker Lecuona straight to Repsol Honda. Not LCR, straight to the Repsol Honda.
I reckon that he'd be happy with that anyway.
He would. But do you know what I'm thinking is that Repsol Honda and the LCR Hondas is going to be basically what Aprilia was 2 years ago when nobody wanted the ride. They'd rather go to World Superbikes or stay in Moto2. Nobody wants to go on the Honda.
I quite like Lecuona anyway, so I'm happy about that.
I think he'd be better off in World Supers.
I think I know who's going to go to the HRC Honda.
Jack Miller?
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was actually looking to see if you've got it on silly season anymore. I think Pedro Costa is going to go to the factory KTM, and there's been a lot of speculation about what KTM are going to offer Jack Miller. At one stage they said they were going to give him 10 wild cards, which we discussed privately in our group chat, and they can't do that.
Yeah, maximum 3 for a year for a factory team.
Maybe I was thinking at one stage, are they going to have a World Superbike team and give him World Superbike rides or whatever? I don't know. Are they going to put him in Moto2? So you can race down there as well? I don't know. But and we also discussed privately, me and you, Chippy, this is again whenever you hadn't watched the MotoGP on that if Marquez does stay at MotoGP, they need what KTM have. Because KTM have good engineers and stuff, but they also have a fantastic test rider. So they need a test rider that's good enough.
Yes.
To make the actual riders pull their socks up.
They need a Danny Pedrosa.
Jack Miller. So,
but we were then discussing who the best test rider is that they could possibly get. You need somebody who's good enough to still be up there if they were to race full time.
Jack Miller.
And Jack Miller is probably the best option that they have.
I feel so bad saying it. I think Marc Marquez goes to Garcia Ducati. Pedro Costa goes into KTM. Jack Miller, because he wants a factory ride, goes into HRC Honda. Maybe thinking it's not the best opportunity, but it's an opportunity because is Jack Miller ever going to win a championship?
No.
The answer is probably not. But could Jack Miller be known for the guy that saves Honda? Like, could you be looking back in a few years' time where Honda won a championship and you could, Honda maybe won a championship with David Alonso, for example, if they're at that stage whenever he's coming into it, and whenever he's taking his trophy, and Neil Hodgson.
Hodgins
and whoever is looking back and they're saying, and you couldn't have done it without that man, and you've got Jack Miller, who's now the test rider or whatever. And it will be like that was his massive contribution to MotoGP. It almost writes itself.
Yes.
Come on. That's what needs to happen. I think I've just written the next 5 years in MotoGP right there. Bosh.
I'd love to know how many times on this podcast you've called Jack Miller a test rider since we've started all these podcast episodes.
I'm pretty sure it was like episode 1.
I'd love to know how many times you've agreed with me, Chippy. I know, I do feel really bad because it's like I said about, Torres, was it Torres earlier? I wouldn't want to be in the back of him. I know he goes fast. I know he's an incredible rider. He's won MotoGP races. He's fantastic. He's phenomenal. Like he's racing against the best in the world, and occasionally he's beating them. But relative to the people he's around, he's not going to win a championship.
No.
But he can contribute in so many other ways because he's a good rider. So looking at him, it's like, where's his career going? What does he want to do with his career? I know he wants to race bikes and he wants to win, but
yes,
I don't know. I'm getting a little bit drunk off a good bit of wine, but I'm sorry, Jack Miller. I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to offend him, or I'm not trying to offend you if by some fucking stretch of the imagination he's actually listening, but I think if he goes to HRC Honda and builds a bike that can then win the championship, even if it's not him that wins it, you can always look back and say, if it hadn't have been for Jack Miller, that wouldn't have happened.
Yes. Agreed.
Like KTM, if KTM won a championship, you can always look and say, Danny Pedrosa, if it hadn't been for Danny Pedrosa, it wouldn't happen. Anyway, right there, watching me move on. Next silly season, sorry, I do waffle.
We'll stay in the world MotoGP paddock for now.
The world MotoGP? the world Moto Super GP?
Just before we started recording, I read that Joel Kelso is now without a seat for 2024 after CF Moto have replaced him. I can't find out who they've replaced him with, but he's lost his seat.
See you later, Joel.
Now, he's got good talent, so you got to think it's probably one of these where somebody's bought a ride.
I heard he's going to start
which I
doing
hate.
adverts for Specsavers. It's going to be him on a bike, plowing into the back of another bike. Should have gone to Specsavers.
Right, I would just like to highlight that Joe Kelso was not the only rider who has ran into the black sun this year.
I know, but I just know how much you like him.
I do rate him, and I do rate him. And I would like to highlight the fact that there was another Australian rider a few years ago who was deemed a crasher in the lower levels and then went to MotoGP or 500 GP as well time and became a champion, two-time champion. That was Casey Stoner. He was called a crasher. They kept calling him a crasher, and he went on. And I'm not saying Joe Kelso is going to become a champion. He might, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I think he's got more talent than what they're letting on. He's finished. He's got it on pole before. He can do a fast lap. But I think it's that I think you're right, Chippy. I think somebody's come along, offered him a bit of money. It's horrible that sports like that.
Yeah, it does annoy me. Because all like the high end, what's it called? Well, Super Sport and that, they're paying stupid money to get in some of them rides. But I think Simon Patterson or Pattinson, I can't remember his name. He put out a good tweet this week about it. So look him up on Twitter or X. Tweet about that.
He is pretty much. I know you and I both get a lot of our MotoGP news from Simon.
Yes. I'm sure it's Patterson.
I think it's Patterson. But you go back years ago, like Mike Hailwood, I'm pretty sure his old man was a millionaire, and that's why he could afford to race bikes the way he did. I know it's a different sport, but the concept's the same. Now, I got this from watching the movie, but you know, James Hunt and that they got in by paying their way into the sport in F1.
Yeah.
It's the same there. So
F1's ridiculous, I think, for it.
But money talks. That's it.
Yes, that's it.
But the thing is, if you pay, let's say you pay to get into a championship and then you win a championship, it's still justified. You're still justifying. Yeah. You're literally putting your money where your mouth is. Well, not literally putting your money where the mouth is, because then you walk about your money in your mouth. But you know what I mean.
Fucking hell.
I
think people have heard that saying before, Sam. You don't have to explain.
Yes. I know. But I used the word literally and I don't like it.
Loathe entirely.
But they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yes.
But I'd imagine, with the Joe Kelso scenario, somebody's probably paid a lot of money and they might end up to be just as shit.
Yes. And the last one, last bit of silly season. Loris Bass to Cinetic BMW in British Superbikes for next year.
Well, there's talk about he's also been offered to go to Moto America. So
Where would you rather go?
Me?
Yeah,
Moto
if you were
America.
him. Really?
Yes.
No, I'd go BSB.
I'm just thinking, like, would I rather be in Laguna Seca or in Laguna Seca in the Californian hills around the desert near LA,
or a wet and windy Knock Hill,
or would I rather be in Knock Hill? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So
yeah, I can understand that.
So Loris Baz is at a point where is he going to win the British Superbikes? I always come back to this. Like, I
don't think he will.
Like, I try and put myself in their frame of mind. Does he actually think he's going to British Superbikes to win the championship, or is he going for a payday? If you're going for a payday, like, are you going to, like you said, are you going to go to Knock Hill? Or are you going to go full on Jordan Henderson and go straight to fucking Saudi Arabia where it's all sunny, baby? Why not go to Moto America where there's more sunshine?
Yes.
That's a hell of a lot of travelling though. British Superbikes gives you the he'd probably go to British Superbikes because A, there's not as much travelling around the UK as there is, and it's closer to France where he's from. So so from his point of view, he'd probably go to British Superbikes. But apparently the offer is there for him to go to a Moto America.
I've just thought, earlier on today I read that Braden Elliott is going to be racing for Dow Kawasaki. So that kind of says that Dean Harrison's already left that team.
What does that mean about Danny Buchan then?
Well, Danny Buchan will be going to Dow Kawasaki permanently next year, from what I've heard.
So he's just filling in for now then?
Yeah, for now, because they had Luke Stapleford, but we thought that he was only filling in because Dean Harrison was, I can't remember where he was. Was it the Manx?
Yeah, Manx it would have been, yeah.
Like I said,
but apparently now he's split already.
Whenever I was at RMO, and I'm pretty sure it's the same as the Manx as well, Dean Harrison was racing on the Russell Racing. I think it's a Yamaha.
Yeah. No, apparently he's already left the team, so I think they're just trying out different riders till the end of the season.
This is going off on a bit of a tangent. I can see Scott Redden going to Moto America at some stage in his career.
I can't.
Maybe.
I can see him doing that.
I think he's going to take the Kawasaki ride.
I'd like him
replace
to take
Johnny
the
Ray.
Ride.
I don't know. Ronaldo's a free agent now.
I wouldn't take Ronaldo.
Nah. He's too inconsistent.
Yeah, he is. He can only put in a good result when he's been sacked.
He's too inconsistent. Scott Redden took out his teammate.
Alright, one weekend. Fucking hell.
And he took out Agata. Let's be honest, Scott Redden's not the most consistent person. He's not the most consistent rider, is he?
But I'd rather have him on the Kawasaki than Ronaldo.
Yeah, I would. I'm with Ash on this.
Well, me too. But I'm not the one making the decision. They might go for Ronaldo.
They might do, but I don't think they will.
They had this discussion on Twitter, and they had like 2 or 3 riders like who would go to Kawasaki, and none of them were Scott Redden.
Oh well, shame on them.
Like, well, I think it'll be Scott Redden. That's who I think will go there.
Well, shall we get into our predictions for the BSB?
What, are you in some sort of rush?
Well, it's just your fucking drinking and waffling on, mate, to be honest with you.
Trying to make an entertaining podcast, that's what I'm trying to do there, right?
Yeah. Take me to fucking sleep. BSB Race 1, and it is at Alton Park. Sam, who are you going with?
I am going to go with Glen Irwin for race 1.
That's a big shock.
A massive shock, isn't it?
Nah, he's a good shout, he's Glen Irwin. Chippy?
I'm going to go Leon Haslam because he went well around there last time out. And I think with the data they've got now, I think he can get a result. I think he's going to get his first... If he's going to get a win this season, it's going to come at this round.
How many times have we said that?
Every race we say it.
It's going to happen. It's
We
going to
said that-
happen this weekend.
We said that in Thruxton. Well, if he's going to get a win anywhere, it'll be here. And we literally said that every weekend. If it's
Yes,
gonna
but
be
this
anywhere,
time, this time I really mean it.
Who have you gone for?
I've
Ash?
gone with Kyle Ryde. I'm hoping he does well. He's taken a step back a little bit, but he seemed to be a little bit more keen last meet. So you never know. He could.
You say he's taking a. You say he's taking a step back like it's a choice.
Well, no, but
It's just not been good enough.
yeah, and that's what I mean. He's just
Not been fast enough.
no. He started off the season.
Ryan
really
Vickers
well.
is outperforming him.
He is at the moment. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy Bridewell does a triple, to be honest.
It wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me either, to be fair. But it
He
would.
won there last year and he got a second last year. I don't know what, the other race.
It wouldn't
but
be
he
fun
did
if
really
you just
well last year.
pick a triple. I only picked a triple on the World Superbikes because Chippy did.
You only picked David Alonso because he's on a roll as well.
Yes.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
Yes.
Race 2, Chippy. You can go this time.
I went with Tommy Bridewell.
Oh, Tommy.
Shock. I wanted to go with Tommy Bridewell, but Chippy had gone with him, so I went with Glenn Irwin.
And I went with Ryan Vickers because, like you say, he's just on a roll at the moment. He's doing really well. You never know. Could have it in the bag.
Right, Ash,
I'm a bit confused with this one, Ash.
please explain to us who, first of all, who, and then why you've gone with your prediction for race 3.
I've gone with Storm Stacey, and it's just simply because I like the kid. That's all it is.
Fair enough.
That is all it is.
Fair enough.
I'd love to see him win.
He has got the most porno-sounding name
Storm
in any of the motorbikes. Storm Stacey and it's not even a man porno name. It's
Well,
a
it is
woman
if you
porno
call him by his full title, which is Lord Storm Stacey.
name. Does he own some stuff in Scotland or what?
I don't know. I do. I'm
Does
a
he,
lord.
own, does he own an acre of land in Scotland?
Yes. Perhaps.
Oh, God, I can't believe you still think that.
Anyway, Sam.
I've gone for Tommy Bridewell.
Yeah, it's an easy shout, isn't it? Really.
I have gone for
All Ducatis.
I've gone for a Ducati triple this weekend. Yeah.
And I went with Glenn Irwin.
Of course. I like that. I like that one of us always picks Leon Haslam every week, though. One of us always.
Yeah, but this weekend, he's going to do it. He's going to do it this weekend.
And we always say that if it's going to be any weekend. Yes, but I know I said that last week, but I really mean it this week. If it's going to be anyway this weekend.
So my question this week is, if you could have, obviously you've got the manufacturers that are in MotoGP at the moment. If you could pick any other manufacturer that isn't in MotoGP and put it in, who would you have?
Does it have to be MotoGP?
Well, no, it can be any bike racing, I suppose. But
No, I think MotoGP.
yeah, MotoGP.
Yeah.
MotoGP.
All right, MotoGP. Right. I think back to... I'm a child again. I'm 9 years old. It's 1994. I'm watching the Northwest 200 and I'm seeing Joey Dunlop against his brother Robert Dunlop, and Robert Dunlop is riding this absolutely cool looking black Norton bike, and I think it's sponsored by like JP. Remember them
John Player
cigarettes?
Special.
JP John Player
Yeah.
Specials. I'm pretty sure
Black
it
and
was sponsored
gold.
by John Player. I might not even have been that. I'm going to Google it right now. Robert Dunlop, Norton. So basically, what I'm saying is,
Norton.
I think I would like to Norton. Like, I know Triumph is the obvious British manufacturer, but they're already in Moto2, so I'd like to see something different. I'd like to see Nortons come in, and that would never happen.
No.
But yeah, and I would like them to be black liveries.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Chippy?
Well, I am going to go with the obvious British choice, and I'm going to say Triumph, because I'd just love to see Triumph in... I'd like to see him in British Superbikes as well,
Yeah, I
but
would like to
they haven't
see
got a
British
bike.
Superbikes.
I'd love to see him have like an official Superbike team, but
I
they
think
can't.
I think Triumph is a good answer because it could happen.
Could, yeah.
It doesn't seem that far away. It seems actually frustrating that they're not putting in a MotoGP ride when they're putting their
I don't know if they... Do you reckon they've got that sort of money?
You look what they're doing with Moto2. You look what they're doing with Moto2, though.
I know, but I think it'd be a lot more for MotoGP.
Yeah, okay. Why not World Superbikes?
I think they should have a Superbike team. At the very least, a British Superbike team.
Yeah, they don't really make, like, sort of... Yeah, it's cool. They don't really make
apparently there isn't really a bike that...
bikes that because they tend to have the triples.
But why can't they just make one and then put it in as a superbike?
Don't know. Maybe they could. Maybe they will.
I'd like to see a Aprilia or a KTM in British superbikes. So anyway, that's going on to a completely different subject.
Right. Ash, I really don't want your question this week to just be the same as Chippy, like you did last week. I asked you a question last week, and because you didn't answer, you just went, "Oh, the same as Chippy."
I know who he's going to go with, and I'm going to message you.
I am going to go with Kawasaki.
But
knew it.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see Kawasaki in MotoGP. I don't understand why they aren't. I don't get it. Why would they not want to be in MotoGP?
Money.
Yeah. Suzuki, actually, that would be another one.
I'd like to see Suzuki back.
Yeah.
But
Suzuki probably would come back because they're a big name in it. But Kawasaki, same with BMW, it all comes down to how many bikes they're selling.
Yeah.
Like that's why anybody started. Maybe not now. Maybe not the way they race now, but ultimately that's why they started.
You look at like Kawasaki and their bike innovation. They always wanted to be better than everybody else, and they've even created the fastest production bike in the world. So why not? They've clearly got the money to be spending on developing bikes. So why not go into MotoGP? That's what I think.
Yeah. Another one I think is BMW. Why is BMW not trying to get into MotoGP?
Well, the thing is, they spend £1 million a day on research, or at least they used to. I don't know if they still do. On research alone for their cars. £1 million a day. So why can't they could do that with a bike and easily have a MotoGP team?
Like I said last week, I think BMW, they sit around the table and they all talk money, and the guy in the corner just talks about motorbikes and you just laugh at him. They're like, go away. He's like, oh, but imagine what we could do if we had a MotoGP team. And they're all like, except they say it in German, some sort of Ich will some shit. I don't know. I can't speak German. Second dreigde würde zu mir zu drecken de slumpen. That's that's it, all right.
You could have said anything just now.
Pretty dirty. I said it right. Yeah, so yeah, I'd like to see Norton. That would never happen, but it's just because it's like an iconic British. I think it's just because it's so bizarre, but I think Suzuki probably come in, not that far away really, because they've been in it previously. Kawasaki's a good shout. I think Triumph is a good shout. BMW. Yeah.
MV Augusta.
They're coming in though.
Yeah, apparently there's rumours they're coming in is it 2025? But with a KTM bike.
Like through a back door, through the KTM way, yeah.
Yeah, because KTM own shares in it.
Right.
They're going to put it in as like a KTM bike if they can.
I do like MV Augustus.
Right, so that's who you would like. Who do you think's most likely to come in? Obviously Suzuki, but Suzuki are most likely to come in. Who would you?
I don't know.
Let's say they do want to come in.
I think we've just answered it. The most likely is MV Augusta.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, like, obviously you asked you want Kawasaki between the two, but Kawasaki or BMW?
Kawasaki.
Because they're both from World Superbike. Chippy, what about you?
I think Kawasaki's more of an iconic bike brand, so I've got to say Kawasaki. But I think BMW would probably make a better go of it.
I think BMW should
if
just
they
stick to their
did.
freaking adventure bikes and shit.
I think going by what BMW are doing in World Superbikes, I don't think they would make a better go of it. They can't even make a World Superbike that can win a race. At least Kawasaki can win 7 championships that I know of.
Yeah, I suppose.
I can't believe Top Rat's going to BMW. That's such a bad idea.
Yeah, it's not good, is it? Anywho, that sort of
Anyway.
wraps up the show then, doesn't it?
Ash is desperately trying to get this episode over with.
Ash, do you want to give us the socials before we say fairly well to the listeners?
I shall do. If you would like to get in contact with us, you can email us as always on podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk. We are on YouTube. Just search the Big Bad Bike Show. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. We are on X, or Twitter as it was called before, at the Big Bad BS. Instagram, the Big Bad Bike Show. Facebook, the Big Bad Bike Show. But obviously most of our activity is on the Big Bad BS Facebook page. If you want to get in contact with us directly, Sam is on X at the Big Bad Biker. I am on Instagram, the Up North Biker, and Chippy is on X at MotoGP.
I would encourage anybody who likes the show to please, and if you have Twitter or X, to go on our X page and follow us there, because during the races, like, we do post stuff on Facebook, and we do post stuff on there, but during the racing weekend, either myself or Chippy, we're all over Twitter. We're always posting on there, especially during the race weekend. I put about 20 tweets on there this weekend, so yeah. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, literally follow us, and most importantly, get on our email address, podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk, and send us an email. Let us know you're listening.
Well, before we go, I'm just going to quickly go through the who am I questions again. Sorry, the clues, just so you can email the answer in.
Oh
just to remind you.
yeah.
So the first clue was, I was born in Stockport in 1985. Second clue was, I currently race in BSB. And the last clue is, my father raced in MotoGP and World Superbikes in the 1980s.
Really?
If you know that, get in touch. podcast@bigbadbs.co.uk.
Yes.
And that's our show, folks. So I guess there's not much else to do but give you our goodbyes. Up North Biker,
See you later.
Moto Chippy,
Goodbye.
I'm the Big Bad Biker. This is the Big Bad Bike Show. Goodbye.